Welcome to the EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. Thanks again for joining us for another great show. Before we jump in, let's review the goals of EQ Video Tip. What's on tap this week? We're going to talk about motivating people and starting to get that connection begins with emotional connections or emotional intelligence. And this is brought to us by Scott Edinger, who wrote a great book on the inspiring leader. And he talks about how emotional leaders have to have pathos, which is something Aristotle coined. It's a term in communication for persuasion, but it also means a philosophy and rhetoric that basically is both purposeful in terms of an appeal to one's emotion or to someone else's emotion. So you get the feelings of the audience, but you're feeling them as well, and you are appealing to them also. We're going to talk today about how you can help motivate people by connecting with them. Let's jump in right now. Tip number 1, cultivate the energy that flows from enthusiasm. This means whatever someone is passionate about, use that to your advantage. Now, the passion and enthusiasm may not be exactly what you want. Maybe it's someone in this author's case who just focuses on the numbers and is very black and white in terms of what he or she talked about. Well, how do you cultivate that enthusiasm for numbers into something that's a passion that will drive a connection? For example, in this one, the author talks about what about this data or this meeting or this idea gives us reason for optimism. Again, putting some positivity in there. He then says, how do we connect it to the greater outcome that we're talking about? Again, focusing on a positive light. And then finally, how can I share this with positive energy? Again, we're not telling you to take a toxic idea and just automatically turn it positive, but instead channel that enthusiasm towards a positive result and use that to motivate your team. Tip number 2, recognize what's behind your anger and put it to better use. And so many of us, when we get angry, we want to yell or scream or just say we're frustrated. And it's a perfectly normal response, but it usually elicits pushback. When you start yelling at someone, they become defensive and they don't want to talk back, or they walk out of the room, and you get into this heated discussion. Instead, think to yourself, take a moment to control yourself and say, I am angry, but am I feeling something else? Am I frustrated? What is it? If you're just angry, that's okay, but if not, figure out the other options. Are you distressed? Are you worried? Are you disappointed? What is the actual meaning of what you're feeling? And then think about, how can I express it in the most efficient way? Again, yelling probably is not going to overcome it, but if you had a calm discussion with someone to say, hey, I'm disappointed in the quality of your work, or disappointed in that presentation you did, it changes the way that they are connected to you, and they think, okay, this person cared enough to tell me what's out there and what they think can help improve myself. So take a moment, recognize what's behind that anger, and put that to better use. Our last tip, and a great one, drive deeper engagement with a focus on development. And let's face it, all employees, all friends, everybody wants to get better, but they want to know what's in it for them. And it's important to say to someone, your professional growth is important to me, and it's important to our team. Those words alone will make the person buy in and feel like you're trying to help them out, especially when you have to critique them. A second thing you can say is, I have confidence in your abilities and in your potential, but you're not realizing it. I want to help you realize that potential. Think about how that person's going to feel. They want to get to their potential, to their best. And finally, I'm willing to invest time and, more importantly, resources into helping you achieve your goals. By saying those 3 things, you are telling that person, I'm connected to you, and of course I have a vested interest that I want my team to be successful, but for my team to be successful, you have to be successful. So take the moment to invest in those 3 phrases in talking to someone, and in doing so, you're going to drive a deeper engagement and have that person feel connected to you and want to work harder for you and smarter for you. That concludes this week's EQ video tip. Hopefully these tips will help motivate your people and drive a stronger emotional connection with them to help you and your teams overperform in whatever task that they're trying to do. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ video tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.